In today's world, every company is a technology company, but many of them don't know this yet, and enterprise technology plays a key role in this landscape. But enterprise tech is a wide-ranging topic. Today we will take a deeper dive in two hot topics that are shaping the industry: cybersecurity and knowledge management. These two together account for a $300 billion market potential and saw a significant spike in demand during 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's take a closer look at how enterprises can better serve their customers, protect their data, and prevent frauds, phishing, cyber attacks, and create more resilience. Nowadays, many enterprises rely on poorly written and outdated code. During the upcoming years, much of this code will be removed and replaced by more secure alternatives. Even passwords could become obsolete and slowly disappear, being replaced by biometrics. By 2022, passwordless authentication in the enterprise sector will be adopted by 60% of large enterprises and 90% of SMEs.
The challenges the industry is facing, in particular in the context of authentication and identity management, is that long-lasting trade-off between user experience and convenience on the one side and security and privacy on the other, where we've come from passwords over hard tokens to soft tokens and SMS 2FA to biometrics like Apple's Touch or Face ID systems that come with their very own limitations around interoperability, reach, and thus penetration of these solutions, to a future that we see centered around privacy, where we are introducing the world's first zero-knowledge biometric authentication platform that eliminates the need for businesses to store and manage passwords, cryptographic keys, biometrics, and other sensitive personal information without compromising on convenience and privacy for the end user.
The current challenges the industry is facing today are really related with the massive adoption of digital services and technology, especially in these pandemic times. This crisis, this global crisis, what has done is increase extremely the path of adoption, the rates of adoption. So what we had planned for maybe the next 3 years has been accelerated a lot in a few months. So to deploy massively the technology capabilities, the digital service, and that adoption is a really, really big concern in terms of cybersecurity for the next years. In this moment in the cybersecurity space, what we are dealing with or facing right now is more or less the same concerns we had in the past, but accelerated by the new need and the new normal capabilities we need to deploy. Those are really related with, first, massively cloud adoption, because cloud gives the companies and even individuals the elasticity in terms of digitalization that we need. And this adoption has involved and need to involve culturally changes in the IT, in the business, and especially in the security teams.
And that would be a real game changer. But the real question is, are financial institutions ready to implement cloud-based technology solutions?
Many large and established banks are running on legacy infrastructures or legacy technologies, which requires a very individual or custom approach to integrating cloud-based solutions. In our view, what incumbents need to achieve their digital transformation goals and move to a cloud-first paradigm where solutions are accessible from anywhere at any time. Users can instantly use their services from all the devices and update their legacy infrastructures, which makes it also much easier to work in an ecosystem of various vendors and solutions in an integrated fashion that will drive innovation and thus impact to the end users who are actually consuming these services.
But not everything is lost. Cloud adoption within enterprises is increasing, and the biggest driver for it is IT agility. By year's end, artificial intelligence and machine learning applications will be at the top of the list. Another driver to adopt such technologies is cost. A simple password reset costs enterprises about $70 because it accounts for about 50% of all internal help desk calls. It's also the reason for 80% of all data breaches that we see, and an average data breach can cost about $4 million.
So eliminating passwords through something that's simple, private, and secure and unique to an individual that you can use across every device is something that we're trying to achieve.
New developments in technology can also generate new risks. For instance, if passwords are substituted by facial recognition, criminals could try to trick the software with deepfakes, digital doppelgangers. Deepfakes are videos or images where a face is replaced by someone else's face using machine learning and AI. Let's dive a bit deeper into deepfakes. What is the potential threat? Do they benefit companies in any way? With the rising adoption of biometrics, deepfakes could become a real security threat. That's why it's crucial to combine traditional biometrics with new biometric modalities that protect users from fraudulent biometric attacks. There are 3 main ways to make sure that users are who they say they are: asking them for something they are, for something they know, and for something they own. These 3 factors are called knowledge factor, possession factor, and inherent. Multi-factor authentication is much more secure than single-factor authentication. At Keyless, for example, they combine physical biometrics like facial recognition with behavioral biometrics, such as swipes. Further to the multimodal biometric factors, keyless authentication involves a trusted device of the user, so inherently performs strong multi-factor authentication. But back to deepfakes. On the positive side, deepfakes can be used to generate biometric training data in a privacy-preserving way. While the risks of deepfake tech are certainly worth preparing for, Keyless is leveraging technology to train our machine learning algorithms. By using generative adversarial network, they can enhance the reliability of their product in ways that were not previously possible. For example, they can ensure their algorithms are able to accurately detect and verify users from a more diverse landscape. This is especially important as facial recognition machine learning systems have previously proven to be ineffective and biased in identifying users when only trained with datasets from limited demographics. But deepfakes are not the only threats in the cybersecurity realm. A lot of them are going undetected, and if you analyze all the different attacks that were discovered in recent years, only few of them were done by sophisticated actors. And with the growth of cyber attacks and seeing how valuable data is for so many third-party operators, it really is just the tip of the iceberg. Newer technologies can detect a lot of these attacks and guarantee protection. To the defense industry, governments, politicians, journalists, or VIP researchers that are being targeted on a daily basis. It's not a trivial task, though.
So in general, the approach of the industry in cybersecurity is to capture attacks or to try to see the traffic or to try to have something present on the device. We're taking a different approach. Our approach is to look for attackers' mistakes. The assumption is that all attackers make mistakes given enough time and enough opportunities to attack. So it makes our job a bit easier because we can focus on what they're doing wrong. At the same time, it's really not so easy to differentiate between what an actual mistake is, whether if your phone rebooted because of an attack or if it rebooted because of a software bug or even if your phone is broken. So that's a lot of the effort are going into that. And that's the reason why in the first place we even released our solution for IT and DevOps.
It may seem trivial to handle on a daily basis, but if you are a large institution, a cyber attack can become a costly issue.
So if you have a large organization and 5% of your employees have a blue screen once a day, you may not necessarily even know about it until a few months later when people start to complain and even tracing it back to the original issue, what's causing this issue and things like that.
And in a world where speed is of the essence, that time gap could be decisive in terms of cost. But fortunately, attackers and cybercriminals do make mistakes.
Yeah, attacker makes a lot of mistakes. And over the years, it's becoming harder and harder to do a flawless attack. And it doesn't matter if you're amateur, of course, you're making mistakes, but even nation states, even governments are making a lot of mistakes. The thing is that these mistakes are not trivial to spot, and you would usually suspect something else. So for example, if your phone rebooted in the middle of the night, you may not even notice. Sometimes you need to type your PIN code again, and people may notice that, but they wouldn't really think, okay, there isn't anything weird here, just the face recognition is not working properly. Or if you see your phone rebooting in front of your eyes, you'll be like, did I click the power button? Maybe it was clicked in my pocket. Or if you see a blue screen, you ask yourself, is it just a random blue screen or is it an attack? So most of the people would not suspect when they see those things unless they're really cyber aware.
So attackers make a lot of mistakes, but that doesn't mean that staying secure is easy. Companies should be focusing on protecting themselves. However, investment in cybersecurity is not as high as it should be. Why is that?
Cybersecurity is very asymmetrical, and it sometimes can be very cheap to develop something that will be very hard to defend against. And you can basically purchase an attack on an iPhone that works on 1.5 billion devices in $2 million, but you can also spend $50 million just to try to understand how to defend against these types of attacks. And it may still not be sufficient if the budget is not properly managed. And sometimes it's just limitations that you cannot overcome.
Usually, financial institutions are more secure than other industries, but attacks happen anyways. How should they adapt to this new landscape?
So the future on cybersecurity, specifically for financial institutions, are coming crucial from three different aspects as well. The first one is the need to provide our customers with trusted channels and trusted services massively based on digital interaction, while keeping an appropriate user experience. The second key point in cybersecurity is protecting information. The personal data that isn't massively under the scope of privacy and the transactional data. I mean, to protect the operations our customers are doing, to follow all the channels and to have enough traceability of what the transactions our customers are done. And in the third part of the cybersecurity aspect in financial institutions, it's the awareness itself. So we need to keep our internal awarenesses at the highest levels.
2020 was a very complicated year and no industry remained untouched. What was the impact of the pandemic on cybersecurity?
The impact of COVID, especially in the cybersecurity sector, has been very positive or provided tailwinds in the sense that protecting a remote workforce has become more and more crucial. Protecting access in a remote setting is more and more important, and uniquely authenticating or identifying users who are consuming services in sectors like education or healthcare.
Most aspects of our lives are affected by the changes in the digital world, and many of these changes bring with them new cybersecurity challenges. So there's going to be a lot of innovation in this field during the upcoming years.
There's a strong theme of zero trust networking, which puts the identity at the core and front in terms of how we authenticate and secure applications in the enterprise context versus the old paradigm of securing through a corporate firewall. Looking into a 5-year perspective, we're seeing decentralized to user-centric identity models emerge where users are in control of their own personal data and can selectively disclose this type of data in a more personal, private and secure way.
Trends that we're seeing in the industry include anything from increase of mobile attacks. It's definitely happening. People are more aware of their phone that can be used to spy on them. And it makes sense because these devices are so powerful and they have so many different processors and they have camera, microphone, GPS, text, voice, everything that attacker would ever want. And that's one trend. We also see a trend in increase of phishing in both computers and mobile.
At the same time, privacy has become a really, really big issue today because people are still, and is going to be in the next months, the weakest part of cybersecurity. So awareness and the privacy concerns are massively confronted right now from the security aspect.
We benefit greatly from embracing advances in technology. However, for all the positive experiences we gain, there remains the prospect of threats from cybercriminals. At a time when there are queries regarding how tech and the rise of AI could disrupt industries, the cybersecurity sector is able to benefit from our widespread adoption of information systems. Over the years, innovation has become more and more collaborative, from the creation of the wheel to smartphones and smartwatches. These innovations are a combination of the application of multiple people's knowledge into one creation with a common goal and objective. In the work environment, we share our knowledge on a daily basis with coworkers at a simple coffee break to a project or board meeting. These social interactions are fundamental to the development of our skills, products, services, and most importantly, our knowledge base. But in a world where enterprises need to innovate at a very rapid pace, knowledge sharing is key. The whole organization should move together and not just the R&D team locked up in a lab. In 2020, these interactions were disrupted and went virtual due to the COVID-19 pandemic. With this new landscape, new challenges arise. And in order to face these challenges, startups are created. StarMind is one of them.
So the first challenge that StarMind would like to tackle is the highly diverse access to knowledge within big organizations. So what we would like to achieve is not only giving access to documented knowledge, which as we know is 20% of the knowledge in general, but also giving access to the undocumented knowledge, which currently reflects 80% of the knowledge within big companies.
StarMind is a company helping enterprises create a corporate brain. They use AI to identify subject matter experts, give access to undocumented knowledge, and automatically create skill profiles in real time.
That only 25% of senior managers believe that their organizations describe their company as effective in sharing knowledge internally. So if you look, for example, at Fortune 500 companies, we know that those companies lose an estimated 31 billion per year due to failed sharing of knowledge, which results mostly in terms of lost employee productivity. So what we have learned is that, quite surprisingly, many companies already deployed AI within their core HR processes, but nevertheless, what most companies are lacking is a holistic view on the skill set of their employees. And that being said, I'm not only referring to on skills being visible, for example, on CVs, but also on hidden skills such as hobbies, experience from previous jobs and projects, and so on and so forth. And I would apply AI in getting deeper a little bit into this.
And talking about the future, 2020 brought with it an important shift to the way we conceive work and share our knowledge with internal colleagues.
It's a very, very interesting sign that big organizations are very much looking forward to future of work or Enterprise 2.0. And that those companies are demanding new technologies and ideas in order to transform business, both business model and employee models, to transform employee productivity and customer retention and satisfaction. And I believe instances or models such as plug and play is highly supporting this, and we are very, very much appreciating it for being part of something like this. We see currently a huge motivation to transform both as well business models and internal processes in order to provide a best employee experience and B, best customer experience. So if you look at the COVID-19 crisis, it forced organizations to send more or less their entire workforce to the home office with a one-day notice or less. I mean, everybody knows how quickly it went with a lockdown in Western Europe, at least was it March or April? And right now we are facing more or less the same challenge with the second wave in the fall of 2020. So many of the organizations we are working with were very surprised and did not have the internal processes set up.
Having processes aligned and well-drawn does not necessarily mean success. It all comes down to two words: talent and diversity.
We believe that having a very sophisticated picture of the skills of employees within organizations is absolutely critical to ensure for future success of Bertelsmann. The war for talent will be even worse from a company perspective. And so companies need a much clearer picture of the skill set within their workforce on the one hand, and existing skills of the workforce on the other hand, to be able to adjust both hiring and recruiting and training strategies, as well as and upskilling programs, and so on and so forth.
The advancement of AI in different aspects of our society might be a double-edged sword, like in cybersecurity. In other areas, such as knowledge management or other enterprise technology, its application does not have the same ambiguous impact. If we look at the growth of agile teams within all sectors and industries, the lone wolf attitude in enterprises will not prevail anymore. But in order to grow, enterprises still have some way to go, and they do require the application of their employees' knowledge and skill sets to drive innovation and move the society forward.